day in UFC primetime, did it change people's perception of you, do you think, for the better or for the worse?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I know that I've noticed, because I like to keep an eye on the forums. I like to see what people are saying, and I don't mind a few criticisms, so it doesn't bother me too much. I have noticed that people have started to come around to me a little bit more on the forums. I think more than anything, people are just ready for a change. You know, I think every fight that George has, you kind of know what to expect. You kind of know what he's going to say before he says it, and that. Whereas obviously I'm the guy that no one really knows about. So regardless of whether they like me or not, I think they kind of want to see more of me just so they know what I'm about. And I think that's what it is. I think the primetime kind of helped, help me communicate my personality to the MMA community and to the rest of the world. So I don't know. We'll see after the fight.
So is he always on your mind?
Always. There's a song for that, isn't there? Yeah, always. You just can't get away from it. You know, everywhere you go, people want to ask you questions about it. They want to wish you luck. You open a magazine, you see his face in there, and you just want to smash it. And I've got his calendar on my wall. Have you seen his calendar? I've got his calendar on my wall. You know, obviously the primetime show, they were around me for 4 weeks, so I've always got in the back of my mind that they're filming me for that reason. Then I've got my coaches always going on about Gameplan and all this and that. So it's very, very difficult to get away from it. Not that I would want to, but normally leading up to a fight, there's not as much attention on it. So I have to spread photographs of my opponents around my apartment and the gym, and just so every time I go to open the fridge and I'll see a picture of Mike Swift and Marcus Davis there, and I'll switch on. But with this fight, it's been different, so I haven't needed to do that.
So where's the calendar?
The calendar now is in the back of my car, but it was up at the gym. Just for a bit of, comic relief more than anything. These Abercrombie and Fitch poses.
Is that how you know you'll made it, when you have your own calendar?
Well, I don't know. If I'm honest, I wouldn't want to put that on a calendar like that, but mine would be like me stuffing my face with cookies and stuff, so a bit more realistic. Me and Matt Serra were talking about it, actually. We've got one for Matt Serra coming out with him smearing mozzarella on his nipples and stuff. So.
You said before the fight, you said that beating GSP won't make you champ. You said you're going to have to win a few more. Does that help you mentally going into this, knowing that people don't expect you to win, that kind of stuff, but I mean knowing that there's still a big challenge ahead of you even if you get past GSP?
It does, yeah, it does. I mean, I'm not under any false pretenses about my position in the division. I know that I'm in for a title shot because GSP's beaten the guys above me. I mean, obviously Alves and Fitch, they're both in a position where they've already contended for the title and not been successful. So that's why it's come back to me. Fortunate for me, obviously, because now I get this opportunity. But even once I've got the belt, people won't consider me as the champion until I've gone through the next 2 or 3 guys on the ladder. Obviously, I'm going to knock him out, so everyone's going to say it's going to be a lucky punch as well, because you've got to hear that. So I'm going to have to do that twice as well. So this is by far not the pinnacle of my career. This is the first fight on the step to becoming, recognised as the best.
A lot of personal stuff in the lead up to the Davis and Swift fight. There's a mutual respect aside from the one-liner here and there. If you had to choose between the two in terms of a lead up for you to a fight, which one would it be? More testy or the way it is now?
I must admit, I do like the banter. I do like the back and forth, and I like to see my opponent get a little bit upset, especially when they're on camera and the head looks like it's going to explode at any moment. That's always exciting for me because I'm always laid back. I'm always like this, So if I can see my opponents getting annoyed, I'm just going to keep poking them, keep getting a reaction out of them, keep going, and they just got that head's going to pop look on the face. So I love that, but. You can't be like that with GSP because he's not that kind of guy. He doesn't react to those kind of things. Well, he doesn't show he reacts to those kind of things anyway. He hides it very well. So it would just be a waste of energy, and I just end up looking like a dick in front of the cameras, talking all this kind of trash, and then GSP's just going, I'm not impressed with his performance, etc., etc. Back to the script.
So what do you think about trainers speaking up on his behalf? Like you made some comments about Zahavi.
Everyone's got something to say, haven't they? Everyone's got something to say. His training partners have said something, his coaches have said something, but at the end of the day, the only person in the octagon on that night is George St. Pierre, so they can say whatever they like. I don't mind. I mean, he's been quite amicable to me since I got here, and I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting to have a bit of an argument with him and maybe serve him up at the weigh-in if he started. But everyone's got something to say. Obviously, he's confident in his boy, and that's cool. Maybe we can set up a coach against coach match because I'd put a lot of money on my coach kicking his ass.
your thoughts and impressions on George back then? Was he a fighter you admired, you watched, or was he someone you kind of always targeted and hoped that you'd fight in the future?
Without a doubt, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, when he came into the UFC originally, he was, in my opinion, he was a lot more dynamic than he is now. He took a lot more risks, and he was more exciting to watch. So I always used to tune in and watch his fights. I mean, I'm a huge MMA fan before anything, you know, and aside from actually competing in the UFC, I've been watching it for years and years. So as soon as the fighter comes onto the scene that is, you know, that is dominant and explosive and very dynamic like George, I'm automatically a fan. Having said that, I always look at someone like a potential opponent, and it just gets me excited because I knew it'd be a good fight regardless of when I took it.
Saying that you think he's less dynamic now, or maybe less interested in certain parts of the game, how do you think that will sort of play into this fight? Have any idea?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure. It really depends on how he wants to approach the fight and his game plan, really. I know what I want to do in the fight, but I also have contingency plans to work around whatever he's doing. And I don't really have an A, B, and C game plan like I normally do. I have 3 different options that I can choose, and I can run with either of them. Just really depend on what George wants to do. I'm happy to go wherever he takes the fight. But I certainly think that he is a lot more cautious now in his fights, and I think that will play to my advantage.
Do you think there's any chance he's going to deviate from his recent game planning?
I hope so. I don't know. I don't know. If he decides to stand and trade with me, I'd be quite surprised. But obviously delighted at the same time. But you know, if it goes to the ground, I'm cool with that as well. I've not really had a chance to use my ground game in the last few fights because, I mean, I don't think like a grappler, so I don't think I'm going to take this guy down and submit him. But if I end up there, I will use my ground game if I need to. I think George is the kind of guy that could force that out of me if he chooses to.